Hello everyone and welcome to Higher Biology. It's Mrs. Anderson here. I hope you're all safe and doing well. We have been looking into the best way to teach the Higher Biology course and have decided to use the following structure. Each week we are going to put a narrated PowerPoint presentation along with revision materials onto Teams. We want you to access these as best you can to help you learn the course at home. As well as this, you have revision questions to complete, and at the end of the week we will put up a quiz via the assignment section of Teams for you to complete and then submit. One of the biology teachers will be on hand to answer any questions that you may have via Teams. The Higher course has 3 main sections. In St Ninians, what we do is we start with the metabolism and survival unit. Okay. So in the metabolism and survival unit, there are 5 key areas. We're going to start from the start today with enzymes in metabolic pathways. There are 2 learning intentions this week. The first is to understand the term metabolism and how enzymes control metabolic reactions. And the second is to describe the difference in catabolic and anabolic reactions. You will have heard of the term metabolism before, but you may not know what it actually means. Metabolism is all to do with the reactions that occur inside a living organism. If we were to define metabolism, it is all of the chemical reactions that occur inside the cell. From National 5, we already know many of the reactions that take place in a cell. So, for example, we have respiration, protein synthesis, photosynthesis, DNA replication, and fermentation. I'm going to give you around 10 seconds. What I want you to do is have a think about where each of these reactions take place within a cell. Okay, so well done if you've got these correct. Respiration occurs in the mitochondria. Protein synthesis occurs in the ribosome. Photosynthesis occurs in the chloroplasts. DNA replication in the nucleus. And finally, fermentation in the cytoplasm. So now that we know what metabolism is, we're now going to look into metabolic pathways. A metabolic pathway is integrated within a cell, and it's also a controlled process within that cell. Every metabolic pathway is controlled by enzymes. So just like substrates being converted into products by enzymes that you would know from National 5 biology, every metabolic process has a molecule at the start that can be converted into another molecule, and every step is controlled by an enzyme. Here is an example to show this. Take molecule A. Enzyme 1 catalyses the reaction causing molecule A to be converted into molecule B. This can happen multiple times, so molecule B can be converted into molecule C using a different enzyme. Let's call this enzyme 2. Enzyme 3 can then convert molecule C into molecule D. Enzymes can also reverse a metabolic pathway. So in this example, enzyme 4 converts molecule C back into molecule B. There are 3 main steps in a metabolic pathway, and these are represented by specific types of arrows. When you have 2 arrows pointing in opposite directions, this is called a reversible reaction. In this example, an enzyme can catalyse molecule A to be converted into molecule B. Another enzyme can also reverse this, converting molecule B into molecule A. An arrow pointing in one direction is known as an irreversible reaction. This is when the reaction only occurs in one direction. It cannot be reversed. In this example, molecule B is being converted into molecule C, and this is an irreversible reaction. Finally, an arrow that jumps a few steps in a metabolic pathway is termed alternative route. In this example, molecule B can be converted into molecule D using an alternative route. Even though it does not show this in the diagram, this would be controlled by enzymes. So all of these are controlled by enzymes. Just as a quick note, a reversible reaction does not have two complete arrows. It looks like the version shown in this PowerPoint slide here. Okay, so here's an example. I'm going to give you 10 seconds again. Can you identify the steps labelled A, B, C and D? So are they irreversible, reversible or alternative route? Okay, so well done if you got this correct. A is an irreversible reaction as it only has one arrow. B, however, is a reversible reaction as the arrow points in both directions. C is the same as A, it's an irreversible reaction. And D is known as an alternative route as it jumps from the glucose molecule to sorbitol and then finally to pyruvate. Okay, so we've now had a look at the first learning intention to understand the term metabolism and how enzymes control metabolic reactions. We're now going to look at number 2 to describe the difference in catabolic and anabolic reactions. Okay, there are two main types of metabolic reaction that occur within a cell. The first is called a catabolic reaction, and the second is known as an anabolic reaction. We're going to look at both of these in a wee bit more detail. Catabolic reactions break down large molecules into smaller ones. We use the analogy of a cat, get it catabolic, and we talk about it knocking down a large tower, because it's a large molecule, into smaller ones. So catabolic reactions break down large things into small things. So as we just stated, catabolic reactions break down large molecules into smaller ones. When these molecules are broken down, this releases energy. This energy is also referred to as ATP. An example of a catabolic reaction is when a large protein molecule is broken down into small amino acid molecules. Anabolic reactions are the opposite to catabolic. They build up large molecules from smaller molecules. We use the analogy of a girl called Anna who builds back up the large molecule from the smaller ones. So she builds up the large tower from the smaller bricks. So as we've just stated, anabolic reactions build up large molecules from small molecules. This is also termed biosynthesis. When these molecules are built up, this requires energy. An example of an anabolic reaction is when small glucose 1-phosphate molecules are built up into large starch molecules. So, I'm going to give you 5 seconds. Can you identify which type of reaction this is? Well done if you got this correct. It is a catabolic reaction. The reason for this is that it is breaking down a large molecule into smaller molecules and it's releasing energy at the same time. Again, I'm going to give you 5 seconds. Can you identify which type of reaction this is? Well done if you've got this correct. It is an anabolic reaction. This reaction builds up a large molecule from smaller ones and requires energy for this process to happen. Catabolic reactions and anabolic reactions are linked. This is because of the ATP or the energy requirements. Catabolic reactions, as we've discussed, release all of the energy, and this energy is then used or required for anabolic reactions to be carried out. Okay, here's a couple of quick questions for this week's PowerPoint. I'm going to give you 15 seconds, a wee bit longer. Have a look at each of these metabolic pathways and use your previous knowledge to decide whether these are anabolic or catabolic. Okay, so question 1 is anabolic, as this is a build-up reaction. Question 2 is catabolic, as starch is a large molecule and it's been broken down into smaller glucose molecules. And finally, question 3 is anabolic, as the large fat molecule is being produced from smaller fatty acids and glycerol molecules. Okay, so just to recap, our learning intentions for this week is to understand the term metabolism and how enzymes control metabolic reactions and those steps involved in metabolic pathways. And the second is to describe the difference in catabolic reactions and anabolic reactions. Now that we've went through the PowerPoint, these are the revision tools which we are advising you to use. The summary notes can be found in the files section of Teams. If you look at pages 2 to 4, this gives you all the information that you need this week about metabolic pathways. You can also look at the BBC Bitesize website for additional help. I've attached the link to the PowerPoint. Finally, if you type in StudyStack and in the search bar type St Ninian's HS, this will come up with loads of flashcards. Click on the MS Metabolic Pathways link to get flashcards for the topic we have just covered. This week we have 2 assessment materials for you to complete. The first are revision questions for you to download and complete. If you can't do this, write these on a sheet of paper. The second is a metabolic pathways quiz on Teams. Once you've completed this, you must submit it. This will show us that you've completed the task for this week. Please let us know if you're having any trouble accessing the documents on Teams, and thank you for listening.